Good afternoon, fellow beekeepers and swarm trappers. I have been saying that I'm going to make a follow-up video to my swarm trap build video from last spring, and so I've had a few days now that I could work on this, and so this is my follow-up. I did post one last year, and since then I think I've made a couple of improvements on it. I've made it a lot more tight on the inside, but still plenty of room. And I've also decreased the weight of it, because the first few swarm traps that I ever made were made out of some fairly heavy wood. I didn't know what I was doing, and a couple of times that I tried to place them up on trees or stands, I about killed myself. So I've decided to go with some lighter, a 1/4 inch plywood and that sort of thing. But once again, I want to say that I am not a professional beekeeper. I'm not a professional woodworker. I've been beekeeping now for 8 or 9 years, and I'm learning something new every day, every season. I still have to ask a lot of questions to more of the professional, more of the seasoned beekeepers. But this is just some of the things that have worked for me. I'm going to show you what I've done the past couple of days. I'm going to try my best not to bore you to death with putting one together. I've already actually put it pretty much together, and I've got the measurements down, and I'll show you a couple of little improvements that I've made. This is just for me. I have not got this from a book. I'm sure other people have already thought about it, and some people, like I said before, probably have better ways of doing this, and if you do, then you go for it. One thing I've learned about beekeeping is that everybody has their own opinion and things that work for them. So this is just something that works for me, but you can take it with a grain of salt. You can change it, and I don't mind a bit. I don't have any trademarks on anything. This is just stuff that works for me. But what I did to change mine is this, and I'm going to show you. Yesterday, or the past few days, I've worked on this. This is my new measurements. So let's see. If you this is my swarm trap that I built. This swarm trap right here will hold 6 full-size frames. And let me go ahead and do this. See, I will show you. This is what it looks like when the frame is hanging in there, and the rest. You should be able to fit 6 normal full-size frames in here. You've got about a little over 6 inches from the bottom of the trap up to the bottom of the frame. It's actually about 6 1/4. And I have heard from other professional, more seasoned beekeepers that is the amount of space you want in there. You want plenty of room so that the swarm thinks or feels that it is plenty of room for them to house up and build a colony. So that's why I built it this way. Let me go ahead and show you some measurements. We'll start with the back and the front, and I've only marked on the back. But so the back panel, the back of the swarm trap, these are the measurements that you would need. You would need from the top to the bottom, 15 7/8 from here to here, and across you want 9 1/4 across. In a little bit, you're going to see me misspeak on a measurement when it comes to the lid. The side piece that comes down the side, I kept on saying 20 inches, but it's actually 20 1/4 inch, so 20 1/4 inch on the side, the lip that goes down the side of the lid. So just ignore when I keep saying 20 inches. I think I say it correctly one time, but it's 20 1/4 on that side lip for the lid. So once again, the back panel, there's your measurements, or back wall. And then of course the front wall would be exactly the same measurements as the back. I just haven't wrote on it. The side walls, both sides, you'll need to go 19 1/4 across and 15 5/8 up and down. So what I'm going to explain real quick is the front panel, the bottom panel. Oh, by the way, measurements on the bottom. They're the same as they're basically the same, but on the bottom you've got measurements of, and I hope I'm showing this, across it's going to be 9 1/4 across, just like the front and the back walls. And it's going to be 19 1/4 long from front to back. So 9 1/4 across, 19 1/4 front to back. And so basically what I've done is you would have the bottom part, the bottom wall, the bottom panel laying down. You would put the back and the front bunted up against the bottom, bunted up against. Now, I have no idea what this video looks like. I'm holding it from a distance, but so your front panel would go and bunt up against your bottom panel. So the same for the back. The back wall would bunt up against, down here would bunt up against the bottom panel, so that when you put the sidewalls on, they will just basically slide down into place. So what you've done is you've made a U with the back, the bottom, and the front, and then the side panel goes down and sits on top of the bottom board and sits flushed in to the side. Sits flushed into the back and the front. Okay, so also, let's look in here on the frame rest. It's pretty much just like an average hive. I've got frame rests that are, zoom in, that are 8 5/16 across. They are, let's stay right here, 5/16 deep, and they are 3/8 of an inch thick. So 3/8 of an inch thick. I sure hope this is in focus. But anyway, let me try that again. So the frame rest is 8 5/16 wide. It's 5/8 of an inch down from the top, and it is 3/8 of an inch thick. The entrance that I've made is about 2 inches from the bottom of the board. The professionals, the beekeepers, said that the studies show that they prefer, their bees like that entrance to be about 2 inches up. So about 2 inches up from the bottom of the front, I basically put a slit. Now, the measurements to the top. This is the top that I built for it. Let's see. Your top is 4 pieces. I have used, and every bit of this is recycled wood. I'm a big fan of using recycled wood. I don't like to pay for hobbies, that sort of thing, but this is just some scrap lumber, and I said this in other videos, scrap lumber that I've got from house builds. If you'll just drive around and look at house builds, you'll find scrap lumber out piled up, and you don't have to pay anything for them, so that's basically what I do. But anyway, you cut 2 strips, and this is, it's 1.5 inches, so I didn't write this down, but from here to here, it's 1.5 inches, so 1.5 inches here, but it's 20 inches. You'll cut one piece that's 20 inches across. The other side will be another 20 inches. The front and the back slits are 11 3/8 of an inch. So you put this 20 1/4 across, you put it inside, so it bunts up against these end pieces right here. Bunts up an end. So you basically just formed, and I hope this is a decent video. You've built a frame, a rectangle from here to here. So 20 inches from here, bunts up against here, goes down 11 3/8, and then goes back across 20 inches and 11 3/8. So you build a square, and then I cheat a little bit because I just set that square, down on a piece of plywood, take my measurement, cut it out, put the plywood on top, use my stapler, staple it and glue it down, and then I've got the top that fits this particular swarm trap perfectly. I'm trying to hurry because I know that I've learned that people don't want to just watch long videos, but what I did to the entrance, and let me just go ahead and tell you this, let me set this down so I can talk a little bit. What I did to the entrance this time to change it up for me, there's nothing I hate more than to go out, and I love seeing swarms, but a lot of times I'd go out to my swarm traps, and when I know that there's a swarm in there, I start preparing to go back one evening late when it's about dark or even dark to take that swarm trap down and then take to my own apiary. But I'm kind of in the business of catching bees, and I want to catch as many bees as possible. I'm sworn to be as big as possible. And we're talking about, I'm sure there's tens of thousands of bees in a swarm. I don't like it when I get there and there's usually a lot of bees or a handful of bees that are on the outside, just hanging out on the outside near the entrance. I know they're probably guard bees and that sort of thing, but so when I get there and there's still, a handful, a dozen bees sitting just right there on the entrance, I either have to spray them with some cold ice water to try to get them to go in so I can close up the entrance, or I have to wait and hope they go in, or I have to squish them and move on. And I don't like to do that. I just never have liked to do that. I know it's just a handful of bees, but it's the principle of it. I want to catch as many bees as possible. I see if I could figure out a way to keep from even killing a dozen of those bees. I know the bees are going to get killed during beekeeping. You squish them, you accidentally do it. But if I can do something to keep from killing that handful of bees that I'm going to, and that's why I decided to create a different entrance. Now, there may be all kinds of entries out there, and I'm not the first person to think of this, and I'm sure that many other people have. But this is what I decided to do this time. And let me start. I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So normally what I would end up doing is going up and either, like I said, spraying them for ice water and waiting a few minutes for them to go in, or else I would just, because when I get them in, I use some hardware cloth, and then I just get my staple gun and I staple it on the entrance to keep them in, and then I strap down the top so I can transport them. But I've either had to wait many minutes to get them in with the ice water, or I just had to squish them. So what I did this time, and let me turn this around. I have created this sort of entrance. So I don't really have any measurements for it. I just cut some things out. I cut 4 pieces of wood. This, built an entrance like this, so it's almost like a flume. So you can see up in there where the entrance really is, and I have angled it just a little bit. Let me put this down. I've angled it a little bit so when it rains, the rain won't set in there. But what I'm hoping is that when I go to get a swarm, let me set it right there. When I go to pick up a swarm, and if they're hanging on the outside like they normally are right here, since I've built this up and off, I should be able to come up, put my screen, and I should have already cut this, but I knew I'd lose it. Put my screen on there, and then just use my staple gun and staple it to the sides of my little, vestibule or whatever you want to call it. That way I don't have to kill any bees. I know that bees are going to be killed, and some people say, well, you're overdoing it. It's just for my own purposes. If I'm wanting to catch as many bees as possible, then it's kind of counterproductive for me personally to kill a few just to get the screen on. So I'm hoping that this new entrance will work for me. Like I said, I go there. If they're there, I put my screen on, I staple it too, I strap down the top, and I'm ready to go, and I didn't have to kill any bees. I'm kind of excited about using this entrance. Let's see. I have not put, let me put this right here, sorry. Okay, so here's the last thing I'll do. I'll end up putting the other side on here. And I staple gun it too and glue it too, that sort of thing. And I will say I learned this on watching a video yesterday. I wish I could give the guy credit, I cannot remember. But he used some kind of acronym, TPP, I can't remember. I almost want to say the guy's Wally Bees, but I'll look it up and I can put it in the notes. But anyway, when you do use a staple gun, using this kind of wood, that's another thing to tell you. A lot of times the staples will shoot through. Well, if they shoot through, which I had a few shoot through in here, you make sure you clip them off really good, grind them down so there's nothing sharp in there, because the bees can kind of be picky. They don't want anything in there that could possibly poke or prod or kill the queen. So make sure that you get any staples that have come through cut off. I forgot to tell you, this right here, this bottom, this side, and this side are a 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch plywood. Difficult to work with because it's so thin to get in that, the staples and nails go through, but it sure is light, and I'm excited about that. So this, the front, the back, and the bottom are 1/4 inch plywood. The two sides are actually, 3/8 inch press board. And again, this is just all stuff. Let me double check myself. yeah, 3/8. It's almost a half. But anyway, I don't know what they call it at the lumber store. It's the thinnest press board you can get. I'd say it's 3/8. To give this a little more structural soundness, a little more strength. But anyway, the only thing that I used, like I said, was the press board is a little bit heavier, but it's a little sturdier than this 1/4 inch plywood. But this is going to be one of the lightest traps that I've ever built. So I'm kind of excited about that. Let's see, once I get the top that I built, and if you're building the top, you can build it any way you want to. This right here looks like it's just, like I said, some scrap lumber I had. It's a 3/4 inch wood. I I ripped it down to the size that I needed, which was 1.5. I think I told you that earlier. The top is actually a 3/4 inch. The top is actually a 3/4 inch plywood. This right here, 3/4 inch plywood, which is a little more sturdier. I thought about doing the top with the 1/4, the 1/4 inch plywood, but I have done that before, and after a while, the top will possibly do a little warping if you use 1/4 inch plywood on the top, and that's why I went with the 1/4 inch plywood on top. It's good and sturdy, good sturdy top. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about real quick? I've talked about the front. I've talked about the measurements. I will give this puppy probably about 2 or 3 good coats of exterior paint. I will tell you that, here's another tip, and you may already know this. Whenever you go to Walmart, Lowe's, whatever your hardware store is that you go, I always go back to, I can't get that level, I always go to the paint section and look in the mist-tinted paint section, because sometimes you can get some mist-tinted paint for a lot cheaper. This happens to be, I went to Walmart the other day, I was just in there buying groceries, and I came across this. This is some exterior paint, it's Color Place. I will tell you, I'm sure this is just a Walmart brand. It's not the best exterior paint. I wouldn't just go and buy it, paying full price for it. But it came up to some kind of color, somebody's color. It looks like a brownish green, so it's going to be a good paint for a swarm trap. A lot of people will even do camouflage because you don't want people messing with your traps, and some people out there are just mean, and they'll decide to throw rocks or something. I have not had that happen, but I've heard about it. So I kind of like to disguise my traps a little bit. But anyway, I got this little can of exterior paint, and it was on sale for $5.39. Normally it'd cost me about $12, but I wouldn't buy it brand new. But anyway, go to the Mist Tinted, go to the paint section, wherever your hardware store is, or Walmart, or Target doesn't sell paint. Well, I don't know if they do or not. But anyway, and just always check their mist-tinted paint section and see if you can get a color you like. I've had this color. Every paint I've got was mist-tinted. I found this color one day, and it's just a good-looking green color, and I actually paint my boxes with this. But I'm a big fan of using recycled materials, cheap paint, anything that I can do, because this is just kind of a fun hobby to me. And I don't like to spend a whole lot of money on hobbies, and I try to do things as cheap and easy as possible, but still at least build a quality product, although I'm not selling them. But anyway, this is my swarm trap design. This is my new entrance that I had kind of alluded to in another video. I'm not a YouTube expert. I have no idea how this video will turn out. And once again, I want to say, I'm not an expert. This is what has worked for me. Please take it with a grain of salt. Use the measurements. Ask any questions you want to. If you got questions or comments, you can post them in the, down there or whatever. Everybody does this on their YouTube videos, down there in the comment section. And hopefully this will help someone out there who wants to start swarm trapping. I started it 3 or 4 years ago and absolutely love swarm season because it's so exciting to be able to catch freebies like that. And we caught one on our back porch last year. We put out a trap last year. I've got another video on that. When it came in over the house, the neighbor across the street said he saw it coming across his house, across the road, and over our house onto our back porch. Most exciting thing ever. But anyway, if you have any questions, if I've left something out, if I've left a measurement out, or how to do something on this video, please send me a comment. Just comment in there and say, hey, what about this? And I'm quick to respond. I'm not trying to become a YouTube phenomenon. I just enjoy beekeeping. And I like to help people who are just now starting into beekeeping or starting into swarm trapping, because there can be a lot of questions. But once again, I'm not a seasoned professional. There's probably other people out there that's got better ideas than I do. This is just what works for me. So anyway, like I said, got any questions, just leave them. And I appreciate you watching. I hope this helps. Good luck beekeeping and good luck swarm trapping.